Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Uh,
evening.
Good evening. I'm waiting for more people to appear on the screen and in this room, in this main session. So, hello, Alina. We missed you the previous time. We didn't see you. So, yeah, because I'm used to hearing you all the time. So, and the previous class you kept on missing. 45 people are present. Perhaps we will start because it's high time to do that. And I'd like to share my screen and start with the following task. Okay, so that will be kind of mood checker. So choose the image that best represents your current mood and be ready to provide some brief comments on why you feel like this. So you can start, yeah, so you can leave these numbers in the chat. So 6, 7, 8, tag 6, okay, quite enthusiastic. 7, 8, horrified. So Alina, could you please explain why 7?
Well, 7 or
Mm-hmm.
or maybe 6, because
Oh,
I
that was Anastasia. Sorry, Anastasia Ruda. 7 and 8. So like
Yes,
two
I just have
pictures.
a lot of things to do. I kind of sick. Also, I have tomorrow I will have my lessons for my practice, and my teacher will come to see them, and I need to prepare, and also a lot of things to do, and also these trainings, and I'm excited. But at the same time, I'm overwhelmed because I have a lot of things to do at one evening.
Yeah, so it seems to me that all the students now are in the same boat. Yeah. So Katya Streluk so kept on texting. So and she also mentioned number 7. Katya, the same reason. Still, you are not on your school internship yet. So and what's the problem, Katya?
So I this so I 7, yeah, so I chose
Yeah,
this.
7, 7. Yeah.
I don't know, today I had like quite a stressful day. Yeah, so and this face expression, yeah, of this child, yes, of Kevin, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
totally like represents, yeah, so my face expression during the day.
So and the way you feel, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish you to feel much happier, and so I wish you to be much luckier. So not only today, but so throughout the whole week and and the whole semester. And we have quite enthusiastic people. So Katrina Kushner, so you've chosen 5. Comment, please.
yeah, actually, I think that, this deer is quite cute and enthusiastic, but, he's like, huh, and a bit sarcastic.
Like you today.
Yeah, because I've just had a lesson and I was like almost late for this session. So I'm like, huh? Yeah, and I'm still like trying to, you know, to
Kind of catch the last train with
yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right you are. Then Veronica Kolomets, 11. Oh my God. So you look like Bruce Willis in Die Hard or what? Veronique.
Hello, everyone.
Mhm.
I feel 11 because I have a lot of things to do and I don't know how to do it. And sometimes I really think that I have maybe a accident. I feel like I have an accident because I'm very, very tired.
Oh yeah. So all of
And
you seem to be quite tired.
I can't even lift my arm to do something else.
Okay.
So
I wish you, yeah, so I wish I have the same wishes to you like I had them to Catherine and all the rest. So I wish you to be quite happy and enthusiastic. So at the very end of this class, so yeah, everything will be over. So and I'm not going to punish you for anything. So feel relaxed, but just participate because so that will be appreciated. So the final touch, Lisa Kohut, you look quite mischievous today, yeah, or feel quite mischievous. Number 9 is chosen. Why? Lisa? She's not with us. Perhaps she left. Okay, then that's high time for us to start and for me to proceed to more serious stuff. So as far as you know, because so in case if you were diligent enough and worked with pre-session materials, then you are in the know that today we will deal with teaching grammar. And our session on today's agenda, we have approaches, then lesson plans to choose, and there will be also practical application of these approaches. So I will teach you and show how these approaches work. But currently, I'd like to provide you with some link. So I will leave it in a chat. Oh, sorry. So that all of you could get there. And so that all of you could answer those questions. Mind that only one answer should be chosen. Yeah, choose one answer. You are given up to 2 minutes for dealing with that because so there is there are just 2 questions that won't take a lot of time, that won't be time consuming. So, Maria, a question to me?
Yes. Should we mention that email address which we used for this,
So the one you wish, that doesn't quite matter. Somehow I couldn't skip this option. That's why it doesn't quite matter. I'm much more interested in your answers rather than just emails.
Then good.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking and for me to be able to provide this clarification. Okay. So I'll be waiting for approximately 2 minutes for all of you to deal with that, and then I will start sharing these results.
Sorry, is it supposed that in the first question we can choose a few answers?
No, just choose one. Choose one. Yeah.
Just one.
The most difficult. Okay. I do believe that most of you have coped with that. That's why let's check what the results are. Still, out of 56 people, only 28 are done. Perhaps I will wait for a couple of seconds more. Okay, and that's high time to start showing these results. Okay, let us analyze these replies of yours. So here we have, almost 42% belong to 42 word order and tenses. No, tenses. So that's what you consider to be difficult, tenses. The second place is shared by articles and prepositions. So could you please comment on why you consider these 3 topics of being like top difficult topics ever? Any comments from you? Perhaps some personal experience that you can share? Olena Kravets.
Yeah, so when I work with some of my students and sometimes we discuss different questions, and when I ask them what's the most difficult for you in English, they always answer tenses and so voices somehow. And from my personal observation, gerunds and infinitives and therefore articles are also the most problem sphere because that's that part of English grammar we do not have any similarities, not like any, but we do not have such structures in Ukrainian, and that's why it's difficult for students to fully understand why they should use like gerund instead of infinitive and why they should put all these articles. So yeah, that's it. That's the problem. That's why all the participants chose these topics.
Okay, thank you. Then the second one was Olena Harlan, if I'm not mistaken, because it's just judging by this chronological succession in which these hands of yours were raised. So Olena was the second. So are you with us?
Yeah, I just wanted to separate the same. And as a chat, one thing as for gerunds and infinitives, the students they always have to remember the words when they after which words we have to use infinitive or gerund. And just even as for me, when I was the beginner, I was always, before to say something, I was always thinking about like, oh, to use to or to use in, and it was frustrating.
Okay, so for you, so the topic with gerunds and infinitives is the most difficult ever. Yeah, yeah. Okay, and Sasha Shpelякova? I call you Sasha or Alexandra is
Yeah,
preferred? Sasha.
as you want. And for me, dances and voice, I chose this option because my students always told me that it's really difficult to remember all of the names of these dances and all of the forms of these dances. And I remember that when I was the student also at school, in the beginning level, it was really difficult to me to understand this material. So yeah, I think that dances and voices.
Dances and voices. So quite unpredictable for me personally, because like maybe that's kind of my personal bias, or I don't know, personal opinion, but I always considered the topic on tenses to be the easiest one. Perhaps the topic with voices, yeah, so that the passive voice especially, that's difficult, but not the tenses. Alina, anything to contradict? Or anything just to add to what the ladies have already mentioned?
Yeah, I want to add because personally I've chosen the variant about articles because a lot of topics are complicated in English, but articles the most because of maybe many fixed expressions or idiomatic phrases that we can find in English. And they use articles sometimes really unpredictably because they are like idiomatic phrases. So that's why it makes them more difficult to learn. And also these abstract rules, you know, for Ukrainians, it's really hard to understand and to render them into Ukrainian, especially about generalization or accountability. So articles is like top of the top.
Okay, still hopefully you manage it, yeah? So you manage the problems. So yeah, and you do know how to deal with them. Maria, then Helena and Afruza. So okay, so one by one, and then we'll proceed to our comments on the second question. Maria?
Yes, for tenses and voices, personally, I've never had any problems with them. It was just like a pattern which I have to remember. But as I can see, some of my students really have problems with that. And then I realized that even personally, I have understood how to like when to use them and why do we build them this way, not just like a pattern, but why do we do it this way. Only when I finished school and started studying at university, I just paid attention to it like at that time. And for me, most like important problem was gerunds and infinitives. I completely agree here with all the ideas which were previously discussed, because we have like after these words we use gerund, after this infinitives, and after this we can use both gerunds and infinitives. So why? I have no idea, and how can I explain to other people?
It's not the question about why, it's the question on how to remember, yeah, how to remember everything and not to start mixing them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Then Helena,
Yeah,
like
I'd like
it's
to
your
say
turn now.
just
Sorry for keeping you waiting for so long, but there were so many ladies willing to talk.
yeah, okay, so yeah, I also chose the option tenses, and I'd like to explain like the reason why learners usually find it difficult. Because I believe that first there are a lot of tenses, and students don't have enough time to practice them, and they don't have like conditions to feel the difference between all these tenses. And also, in a school program, we usually have long gaps between topics. For example, students learn like present simple, then just after a few months, they started present continuous, then after a few months, past tense, and they just forgot the rules and they don't feel this difference between tenses.
And by the time when they start dealing with this present continuous or present simple tense, for example, somewhere in the sixth form, yeah, they keep on forgetting all the rules and they wonder what for do they need to deal with the same phenomena again without
and
understanding
also
even, yeah, that like we are talking about some other functions of this
And
tense.
also when it comes to the topic when they should use both times, for example, to compare them, they also feel confused.
Yeah, and they feel confused also because so in our language, in Ukrainian native language, so we unfortunately lack, yeah, so the the tense forms to present, for example, present simple, present continuous, so present perfect, so and all that stuff. Yeah. And Afruza, so thank you, Helena. Afruza?
I wanted to add something about tenses. Many people get stuck learning about tenses, and if you don't understand how to use tenses, it is difficult to understand other grammatical rules and materials. Also, such as agreement or tenses, direct speech, indirect speech, or conditionals. I think that it is very important to learn tenses because it is about verbs, and verbs are very essential in languages, in learning languages.
No one has commented on articles. All of you were talking just about the problems with tenses, then gerunds. So I do agree that so the topic like on gerunds and infinitives, so it like belongs to most complicated ones because I do deal with a lot of students of different levels, of different age, and when it comes to gerunds and infinitives, oh my God! So they have so many problems confronting with these cases and with these verbs when one and the same verb can be combined with the infinitive, for example, or the gerund, that they can hardly remember all those exceptions as well as all those rules. Still, the article is viewed as a problem for most of us, even for those who have quite good fluency or who are quite fluent speakers in English. Yeah, still no one commented that. But here the problem lies in this language interference again, because we do not have any any articles in our language, at least something that we do not have, because for the foreigners that's much more difficult to learn Ukrainian rather than vice versa. Okay, and then the second question. So who in your opinion has more problems learning grammar, adults or teenagers? Alexandra, you are the first in raising your hand. That's why. Could you please respond?
Now I work with adults and teach German and English sometimes with them, and I can say that it's really difficult for them to remember all of the information and tenses. And I think that because they had learning experiences a long time ago at school, and many topics they need to be refreshed in the memory.
Yeah, thank you. So adults keep on forgetting, so they have perhaps a bit worse memory, so or perhaps a bit more tasks, yeah, to remember and not to forget about anything.
And
so
especially with it's really difficult to work with pregnant girls and older adults, so their memory is really bad.
It's really bad. Okay, so I didn't have that experience. Then you are maybe luckier than I am. Still, so maybe I will check it one day whether it's really more difficult to work with pregnant ladies or not. Okay, hopefully Olena, Alina will not get offended if I ask Anastasia and Tatiana, if I give the floor to them, because so they were not yet talking today. So Anastasia Tereshchenko, could you please?
So in my opinion, working with teenagers is easier in some way because it's more natural for them. It's like okay for them to feel a bit confused because like most of adults I've ever worked with, they want like a really straightforward explanation to make to give like direct examples from Ukrainian, but you can't always do that. You need to feel uncomfortable for this moment when you transition from thinking in Ukrainian to thinking in English, using English rules, for example. And teenagers are okay with it. Oh, and by the way, they also consume a lot of English media, starting with memes and songs and so on. So they are often familiar with the way some constructions sound, for example. So it's not something that is really new for them. And even if it is new, they are okay with not understanding it like 100% every like with every sentence they read. So that makes studying easier. The same goes with the kids. Yeah, they want to have this explanation, but they are okay with feeling a bit uncomfortable, yeah, in this process. They are not that high and mighty as older people
Do you
usually
think that
act.
adults do like to make mistakes and do not feel ashamed after making mistakes?
They are much more ashamed of making mistakes. At the same time, teenagers are like more used to it because they are still in a progress of getting a degree, of studying at school. When you're an adult, you go to your job and you do the same thing for years. It makes it like really uncomfortable to make some mistakes, to be like in this weaker position when you don't understand something. So teenagers are more used to it because it's their lives. They're still in a process of growing. But when the person thinks that they are already fully developed, that's all. I just want to know English now. It makes it a bit harder to work with them because they're not willing to. They're a bit less open-minded. It does not apply to all of them, but if we're talking about like general like cases, yeah, most common ones, that's what I've noticed.
Thanks a lot. Then, so I have Tatiana Rybnicka and Katerina Kushnir. So do you still have something to add? Just let us agree that in case if the ideas are overlapping, if they are going to be repeated, then perhaps like we will stop it right now. If not, if there is something new that you are going to share, okay, do that, please. Yeah, Tatiana Rybnicka.
Yeah, I would like to add, yeah, according to my experience, working with adults, yeah, and studying with them grammar is easier on the one hand because, as usual, such kind of learners, I mean, adults that are much more motivated. But on the other hand, they do all tasks in a writing way. But when they start speaking and use this grammar in speaking way, sometimes they are very confused and wouldn't like to be or to feel yourself unconfident. They put words or use incorrect grammar. And this is the main problem for them, just to continue doing and repeating when they start doing it correctly, not make stop. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Katerina Kushnir?
Yeah, and I think that actually teenagers have more problems in learning grammar because adults pay more attention to that, and teenagers are usually more talkative and they want to talk, they learn vocabulary really, really well. But when it comes to grammar, I think that they struggle it more.
Okay, yeah, so thanks a lot. Yeah, so now we see that teenagers, though maybe they prefer to misbehave more, but they are more fresh. Yeah, they are more confident about themselves, not quite afraid of making mistakes compared to adults, because like the older you are, the more ashamed so you are of making mistake in front of the rest. And especially if we're talking about those adults who just start learning the language, do not I'm not talking about those who are improving, yeah, who are kind of brushing up on the level and on the knowledge that they have already acquired. But if these are the people who just start making their first steps, oh my God, yeah, that's truly difficult to deal with them compared to the teenagers who are much more susceptible to acquiring the language. Okay, thank you for these so hot discussions. Now let us proceed to some activity that that will deal with 6 statements, so like the very moment when we are talking about teaching grammar, yeah, so and about how to do that effectively to our learners, still there is a question in the air how well we know it by ourselves, being teachers, being in the shoes of the teachers. That's why right now I suggest a kind of like quick test, a funny one, because here I'd like to find out how well you know English and English grammar. So to say, right now you'll need to respond to the very first statement. The shortest sentence in English is a command. So if you consider it to be a myth, then just place letter or put letter M in the chat. If you consider it to be a fact, then put F, so in the chat, for me to be in the know. Okay, so fact, myth. Okay, so those of you who've written that it's a fact, so those who were among the first. Tetiana Vasilkivska. Tanush, could you please so tell me why do you consider it to be a fact? And perhaps you know this sentence?
Well, so we actually can say just the verb like do it, or without
Oh,
like
go,
it.
for example. Yeah,
Yeah, go.
definitely.
And that's gonna be enough.
Yeah, and that's the sentence because that's the sentence in imperative. Right, you are. It's a fact. The next one. So English has a silent letter problem. A myth or a fact? Myth. Так. So fact. Okay, Yulia Rishko. Provide an example to prove that it's a fact.
Yeah, in English, there are a lot of words with silent letters. For example, knife, to climb, honest.
For example, daughter. Yeah, so many
Yeah,
letters and
a
just
lot of letters are silent.
Quite right. So thanks a lot. Then the next one. Anti-disestablishmentarianism is one of the longest words in English. Does it exist? So do we have such a long word with so many letters in it? Myth, thinks Lilia. Okay. Polina, fact. Marina, fact. Alina, fact. Okay, Marina Ivanova. Marina.
I think it's a fact because this word really exists and there are quite a lot of letters.
Yeah, so it does exist. So in spite of the fact that it's rarely used. So it was coined at the beginning of the 19th century, and actually like what for it was needed at that time. So it just showed the opposition of some members of the parliament against the existence of the Anglican Church. They wanted it to be abolished. But actually this proposal or suggestion was rejected. The word, and so this word disestablishmentarianism was used to show this opposition. So in spite of the fact that this proposal was rejected, the word is still included in the dictionaries and is treated as one of the most difficult from the point of view of linguistics words. Then the most commonly used letter in English is E. Fact, myth, fact. Yeah, that's true. So it's a fact because so it's really the most commonly used letter being followed by I. So the second popular is I. Thank you. Then English has no future tense. English has no future tense. Myth, fact, myth. Okay. Snezhana Humenyuk, so you consider it to be a fact. So could you please give comments?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I know that from the point of there is a theory that future tense does not exist. Like we have only this how to say it, shade of meaning of willingness to do something, but like it's not considered as a future.
So it's expressed. So future meaning is expressed through present continuous phrases with be going to, and will, will is used as a modal verb. So in the function rather than the word to indicate just that is just used to indicate future tense. Thanks a lot. And the last one. So sentences can end with prepositions. Fact. Yeah, that was quite simple. Yeah. So could you please provide me the example of such a sentence that ends with preposition?
What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Thank you. So it reminds me of the lyrics from one song. Now, what are you waiting for? Thanks a lot. Thank you. That's why. So why did I call this test to be a funny one? Can you now answer that question? Because all these statements were facts. Yeah, were facts. So not a single myth was included here and was represented on the slide. Okay, right now, let us recollect a bit what we talked about. So in our very first session, when we dealt with language systems and skills. Remember that whenever we are talking about language systems, they incorporate grammar, vocabulary, functions, phonetics as well. It's just not included. But when we deal with skills, these are receptive skills like reading and listening, and productive skills incorporating speaking and writing. And our task here is to acquire the knowledge on systems and do everything we can as teachers to turn this knowledge we've acquired into skills. So to say, what for do we need to know these grammar structures or vocabulary items or the functions behind them, or know how some words should be pronounced, just for us to be able to just form the sentences that will be accurate on the one hand, and so this knowledge should equip us with all the necessary fluency. Yeah, so like finally we should achieve fluency. Whenever we're dealing with grammar, so I believe that you know that from these lessons in methodology. That's why I will try to elicit this information from you. That so we can talk about two main approaches to grammar. They are implicit and explicit. And they are further subdivided. So explicit approach is subdivided into inductive and deductive. Let us recollect. So I do know that quite a lot of you are not even undergraduate students. Most of you are master degree students or some teachers having at least half a year or a year of experience teaching at school. So could you please tell me, when do we use, at what stage, primary school, secondary school, or senior school, when do we use this implicit grammar teaching? You may start talking if you feel so that you can answer the question. So you can unmute yourself and start talking.
In primary school, because children don't understand all these rules, and this is boring for them.
So that's one reason, so that the rules can be boring. The students may not, like the learners, young learners may not remember all these rules. And what can be some other reasons? If we analyze, Alina, if we analyze these grammar phenomena that are taught so at primary school, like how can you characterize them?
Oh, may I answer?
Yeah.
Actually, to my mind, they learn, the structure subconsciously. They learn present simple without the knowledge that it's present simple. I mean, this term. They just study that if it's every day, we say, I go to school every day, something like this. So maybe they focus more on structure and subconscious learning. I mean, that they can speak automatically without any thinking or defining it as a term. And then when they get older, maybe they are like included in this knowledge, but still they don't need to know the word present simple to use present simple. Maybe the main idea in this.
So yeah, one idea that so they acquire quite a lot of things unconsciously, or implicitly, just because like one more reason is that these grammar phenomena are rather simple. That's the idea. And that's why, for example, for them, the grammar rules, so in that form, theoretical form of existence, so they are just not needed. That's why in primary school, implicit grammar teaching is much more preferable. But the older our students become, the more difficult are these grammar phenomena that they are going to learn. That's why here at this stage, somewhere like in secondary school, especially when we start talking about passive voice, conditional sentences, so sometimes it becomes simply impossible to implicitly present this grammar phenomena. That's why at this stage we need to deal with explicit grammar, and so we use such approaches within this explicit approach that are known as inductive and deductive grammar approaches. What's the difference between them? For you to recollect how they work, I will ask you to recollect the methods used by Sherlock Holmes. What is his favorite method? And what stands behind deductive method? Yeah. Could you please specify how it works?
From small things to one big problem. one
No,
big
vice versa.
solution.
Vice versa. So actually, Sherlock Holmes relied on some general knowledge, general knowledge in medicine, for example, or in some other spheres of life, so that could be attributed to some specific or particular situations and cases. So a deductive method works in such a way that, for example, you rely on some general knowledge or the knowledge of the rules. And when you know the rule, you can apply it to some particular sentences, statements, situations, and whatnot. Inductive method, vice versa, works differently. How does it work? Who'll tell me? Okay, Ludmila.
Okay. It's like reverse to deductive approach. We can say from the big to small part topic, for example.
So students are shown some particular examples of the sentences, and so by dealing with them, reading, listening to them, seeing them, perceiving the information, so they just start noticing some tendencies and they come up with the rule. Now I will show you this slide of mine. Could you please identify which of these pictures deals with inductive and which deals with a deductive approach in teaching grammar? Here we have, so comparatives are used to describe the differences between people, blah, 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 use adjective er plus than, use more plus adjective plus than. And here we have read and listen to the conversations. Which do you prefer, London or Paris? I'm from Paris, but London is a lot bigger than Paris. Marina Ivanova?
I think first picture uses deductive approach, more traditional one, because we can see the material, the theoretical material, the explanation of the rule, and then students will practice it.
Definitely. So we come from the rule to the particular examples. In the second, in the second picture, we come from examples. So like the students are provided with the examples like bigger, smaller, more romantic in the context of some conversation or micro dialogue. And they kind of notice the tendencies. We have suffixes er, then so er again, then obviously in order to compare some things we need to use this suffix er. Okay, now let's deal with some short test. What will I suggest now? I will show you some some handout of mine. Okay, by the way, it can be here as well. So as far as I remember, for me not to start looking for this handout. Now I would like to ask you to work individually for about 3 minutes. I believe that you will not need more. Just work for 3 minutes. And in the chat box area, provide me with the answers as to which of these statements correlate with deductive learning, just deductive. For example, let it be 2, or for example, 8, or 10. Just give them in commas. Enumerate in one line all the statements that deal with deductive learning, because the rest by default will deal with inductive. Can you see it well? I see that there are some people who are wearing glasses. That's why, can you see it well? Yeah? Okay. Just let me know in case if you need my help. Mhm. Mhm. First four answers appeared. Okay, let's analyze them together. Yeah. So number one, the teacher provides an explanation of the grammar rule before students practice. Yeah, we start with the rule. Number five, the teacher explicitly, like openly, straightforwardly presents the grammar rule. Teacher presents clear grammatical rules of formulas. Then 13. Так, 10 also. The teacher explains pronunciation rules. For example, the auxiliary verb do is not stressed in questions. 13, it's a quicker approach to teaching grammar. And 14, the teacher acts as an expert in grammar. Right, you are? Yeah, you are quite right. All those who have the same answers, I see that there are like all those, almost all those of you who've mentioned, yeah, who've like responded to that task of mine in the chat. Almost all of you have the same answers, with some lines being missing. Still, the correct answer here is 1, 5, 7, 10, 13, 14. They correspond to D. They deal with deductive learning, because when we are talking about explanation first and practice then, it's deductive learning. If we deal with context, if we deal with examples that go first, that's always about inductive learning. Okay, so to say, whenever we are talking about inductive and deductive approaches, yeah, so both of them have their pluses and minuses. So on the one hand, as we can derive it from these statements that we've analyzed, deductive method is quite quick and easy. Then it can be used in case if, for example, the grammar point is quite complicated, quite complex, sorry. It's preferred by older learners who'd like everything to be broken down into details, разложено на поличках, да? Though inductive method is suitable for any age groups, it can be, of course, more time-consuming, and it's suitable for some grammatical regularity. So in case if there are some examples that are being repeated, then inductive method works better there. Okay, thank you. Now, talking about how this grammar material should work and how to prepare effective lessons in teaching grammar. So I cannot but mention that whenever we deal with grammar phenomena, even in spite of the fact that at our schools, quite a lot of teachers do not pay much attention. I would say neglect pronunciation of grammar phenomena. Believe me, if you are going to deal with this CELTA course or to do your CELTA course, that will be like our Father prayer, да, Отче наш. That's what you will need to learn. Whenever you deal with grammar phenomena, whenever you're going to introduce this grammar phenomena to your learners, always keep in mind that you should focus on meaning, form, and pronunciation. That stands for this formula MFP. For example, just a brief overview of how it works. We have a sentence. So can anyone read that for me not to do that? Anyone? Any volunteer?
I can.
May I?
So, Katya?
I visited a number of countries last year.
So we paid more attention to the words that were given or provided in bold. I visited a number of countries last year. Why didn't I as well as you, why didn't we stress I, a, of, and year? Can you please comment on this? Katyusha?
Yeah, sorry, can you repeat, please?
So can you please explain why didn't you stress such words as I, a, of, and year?
Oh,
Just because
I don't
they
know.
were not given in bold. Yeah. in my sentence.
Yeah, I just focus on the pronunciation. That's why.
Okay. Then Afruza, can you give comments?
Maybe because it has only one syllable.
Oh, no, not because of it, but
No?
thank you for the suggestion. Alina?
I think because they are in a stressed position.
Right, you are. Yeah, they are in an unstressed position. Yeah, that's why I visited. It's pronounced as if being one word. Yeah, so they are linked. Both words are linked. The same goes about a number of. So we pronounce that as if it were one word. Then countries. It's a meaningful word. That's why it's stressed. Last is stressed, and year is not is in unstressed position because we are focusing more on it being the last year rather than, for example, the next year or like any other year. Then, what is the meaning behind such a sentence? What actually it's going to express? Alina, again?
So I think that it was in the past, yeah, and we focus more on tense, on time when the action was done than on the actual action, I think. And so the past tense.
So that's the action that happened in the past. Okay, for you as a teacher to be well aware that your students do understand, how it's formed and what for it's used, what's the function behind it. So we should suggest some possible CCQs. So you will not go without them in case if you're going to do your CELTA. So like you'll always be asked to think of possible CCQs to help your students. So not for them not to struggle with this grammar phenomena that you'll be teaching. What can be possible CCQs to check whether your students fully understand the meaning and the function of these of these past tense and past tense forms. Any comments from you? Remember that CCQs should be answered with our words yes or no. Yeah, so formulate the question in such a way so that we could have yes or no answers. Alina again.
I believe it can be, is it about the past?
No.
Was it last year? No?
So like, are we talking about, for example, present action? Yeah? Or is it about the process? Are we talking about what's going on now? The answer will be no. Then what can come next?
Actually, I have no idea.
No ideas. Any other suggestions from you?
Maybe are we talking about finished or unfinished action?
Right, you are. Thank you. A good attempt. So just drop it. Are we talking about a finished action? Yes. So is it still in the process? No. Yeah, because so if you give the alternatives, the students will not be in the know of how to answer, yes or no. Yeah. So, but the suggestion was great. Okay, now let's have a look here. Is it happening now? We've mentioned it. Is it a process? No. Did it happen in the past? Yes. Can I change the sentence? It's like a suggestion. You can omit this question, but you can suggest it as well. Can I change this sentence to I'm visiting a number of countries last year? Of course not. And is this action finished? That's what Darina suggested. Thank you. So yeah, one of the best responses. So thank you, Alina and Darina. So who were talking? Yeah. And so thus, you'll be well aware that your students do understand this grammar item or grammar phenomenon. If talking about form, specify that here in the sentence we have the subject, like I, verb, so I visited, then the object embraced by a number of countries, and adverbial, last year. Only on this condition, if you provide provide them with this information, for example, when you are talking about young learners, or in case if you are dealing with adults and you will elicit that from them, so dealing with pronunciation or focusing on pronunciation, meaning and form, only on this condition. So should you be well aware that they know everything and that, for example, your trainers, so CELTA trainers will be fully satisfied with that. Okay, so whenever we deal with the lessons that are based on teaching language, language lessons or systems, language systems like grammar, vocabulary, and phonetics and function as well, yeah? So then there are three approaches that work best. There's a PPP approach. I know, like, pretty sure that you dealt with that at your universities. So it's deciphered as presentation, practice, production, the most favored one by all school teachers approach. When it's the teacher who introduces everything, then gives time for drilling, for or controlled practice, as we call it, and then we come to freer practice or more productive stage. So all of you are well aware of this, structure of the lesson and of this approach applied in teaching grammar. Still, there are two more. Okay, I will talk about test, teach, test, or TTT. And there is one more text-based presentation. Now, I would like you to work in breakouts. You'll be assigned in the rooms, and you will have up to 8 minutes for dealing with the task. What kind of task? So, now I will attach the file. I believe it will be more convenient for you to work if it's attached in our group, yeah, so Telegram group, because so it will not disappear there. So I will leave it there. There will be the handout on different approaches in teaching grammar. Okay, so you already have it. Let me share my screen once again. Just a moment. Okay, you can see it well. So just a moment. I will open it from here. Okay. What you'll need to do. Okay, within these 8 minutes, you will need to familiarize yourself with these three types of the lesson, or three approaches, yeah, three language lesson frameworks, PPP, TTT, and text-based presentation. Then you'll need to familiarize yourself, then come up with key notions of these language lesson frameworks, and compare these approaches while answering the questions. You have 7 questions. Which of these approaches out of these 3 suggested would be most memorable? Which of them suggests better student engagement, offers more effective freer practice, is student-centered, and so on and so forth. Okay, and so when the time is over and you'll be back in plenary, we will discuss the answers to these questions. Okay, so what do we need to do? Let me check these instructions. What do we need to do? Could you please enumerate the steps? Enumerate the steps. So the first one.
First thing we need to familiarize ourselves with the information.
Yeah.
So key points.
Yeah.
And compare them.
So, and compare while answering the questions. Right, Yuan? So, by the way, perhaps so it will be much more convenient for you to work like taking notes, not in your notebooks, but here, I mean, on Padlet platform. That's why I've prepared for you this, this page, and I'm going to like provide you with the link here in the chat and in our group as well. Okay. So leave comments there. Yeah, leave comments there if you feel like so. If you feel that it's much more convenient to you. Okay. In 8 minutes, we are going to be back and discuss these approaches. Okay. Okay. I see that some of you lacked time. Yeah, our group lacked time. No problem. At least I do believe that all of you managed to like familiarize yourselves with this information on this, in the handout. Am I right? Yeah. So I will share the screen, open this file again, And so now we'll take part in discussing that in plenary. Okay, so there are 3 language lesson frameworks. So with my subgroup, like that subgroup I was a member of, so we already discussed that there are some similar moments, yeah, or similar stages, like lead-in, for example. So you do not kind of like plunge into water from the bridge. So you'll need to set your students into the right atmosphere. That's why you should start in all 3 cases with a lead in. But in case with PPP, we start with so proceed to present in target language. In case with a test, teach, test approach, we give the students some test, kind of like task, asking them, oh, fill in the blanks, for example, so like using the correct forms of, let it be past simple, let it be, or passive voice, or whatever, that is used as diagnostic test. So here the teacher is not going to put any marks. It's done just for the teacher to be able to see how well they know or don't know the phenomenon studied. Then, so here we have lead in and we deal with the text, yeah, and only after it, so there will be the focus on the language. Apart from it, there are no obvious differences because each of these approaches has the so-called controlled practice stage and freer practice, or the stage of production. Then now let us discuss the following questions. So which of these approaches would be most memorable? Which of these approaches would be most memorable? And be ready to give comments. So remember that there are no right or wrong answers, just give comments behind. Yulia Andreevna.
I believe the text-based presentation is the most memorable as the grammar is taught in the context, and also you can compare different structures and you can see how they are used in the meaningful context.
Okay, so do all of you agree, Olena Harlan?
I have a bit different point of view. Like, I think it's about like text. Like when a context, it's better for vocabulary for like language in use, but target language. But as for grammar materials, I would use presentation practice production because it's just in order to explain grammar, in order to see how do they understand like how to form the sentence, and then like to use it in a speech, to use it in a text or something, because just in a text it would better, I think, for vocabulary.
So not only for vocabulary, so like you are a bit mistaken. So, but thank you for such a suggestion because like you were on the right path. You told us that so it like this presentation practice production would be most memorable just thanks to the fact that it's the teacher who immediately kind of like sets you into this necessary atmosphere and just presents the rules so that you could be fully aware of how to deal with the rule without, so making the wrong steps. But like that explanation that was provided by whom? By Olena, yeah? So Olena was no. Who was talking? Julia. So like about text-based approach. So it will be great since they deal with some authentic texts. It will be more authentic compared to the rest. Yeah. Now we've already answered 2 questions. Then, which approach or language system framework suggests better student engagement? Where will we have this better collaboration of the peers? So who was the first? Alina, it seems to me, yeah?
Probably, yeah. So I believe that's text-based presentation because students interact like with real life texts and they participate actively in discussions. They extract the important information like vocabulary or target grammar, and that's good for students.
So test, teach, test. Yeah, this one. This one.
Oh, no, I mean not, I mean text-based presentation.
Text-based presentation, yeah. So they are involved, but here they work more individually. So that's why I will contradict a bit. So, and with test, teach, test approach, they are asked to deal with it, like with this test, and usually they are set into teams, yeah, assigned into teams. Katerina, you'd like to add something, yeah?
I agree with Alina that text-based presentation uses real texts, interactive discussions, but I would also say about teach test that you said, that it involves active participation in this test, even in teams. So then I will choose for this question test, teach, test.
In most
More.
of the cases, so for you to remember, so like when this test, teach, test approach is chosen or framework is chosen, so students are rarely left alone. In most of the cases, it's suggested as a kind of teamwork, yeah, for them in like working as a team to deal with this test. It will be a diagnostic one, so that the teacher could see the strengths and weaknesses of the students and could diagnose what they still lack in knowledge. Thank you. Then the next one. So which of these approaches offers more effective freer practice? More effective freer practice. More effective freer practice. Okay, no suggestions. Inna.
Yeah, I would like to say that for me it's pretty tough to choose only one
Yeah.
because all of them are suggested this freer practice at the end of the lesson. That's why can it be three of them, not only one?
Give comments that will prove that this can be three. Just so so prove it. Prove it by providing some evidence.
Okay, so if we talk about the PPP, the target language was presented. We had controlled practice, and at the end, we can have some discussion or dialogues. So it's a freer practice.
So like presentation, practice, production. So yeah, so if we use this kind of framework, why can it be effective? Because from the very beginning, it's the teacher who sets them into the right atmosphere, as I've mentioned, immediately presents all the rules, and so they do not get lost. Yeah, so they are fully aware of how to deal with the rule. Yeah, that's why this approach can be effective. Why can test, teach, test be effective? So
Because at the beginning of the lesson, they just recalled the information that they may forgot. And after that, they practice it one more time with a controlled practice. And at the end, again, we have freer practice. Mostly they have it in speaking way.
So they kind of like test themselves twice. Yeah. So that's what accounts for the name of this approach. Test, teach, test. Here they deal with something that they may not are fully aware of, but then after being provided like with the feedback on behalf of the teacher, so and participating in this controlled practice, when the same task actually or similar task can be offered to them. Why do I say that the same task can be offered? In case if you see that the students failed at this stage, you can start with offering the same test to them so that they could, for example, improve. So the teacher provides the feedback that will kind of correlate with this test, but after it, you should give another exercise to provide a bit more drilling, yeah, or a bit more controlled practice. And number 3, so text-based presentation, why can these be effective?
Because during all the lesson, we are focused only on one text with this target grammar or target language. And the students always engaged in this atmosphere of this target grammar. That's why after the control practice, it would be, I guess, easy for them to participate in the freer practice.
Okay.
But now, after speaking about all of these three, I would like to say that maybe test, teach, test, it's the most effective.
So the most
in my
effective.
opinion.
So you can apply just in case if your students have some prior knowledge, unless they have it, so do not even try it. Yeah, so thank you. Much depends on just at what level, and so concerning what students you will apply it. Yeah. Thank you. So which of them is more student-centered? Which of them is more student-centered? Alina.
Yeah, actually, I believe that's test, teach, test because the lesson is adapted and is based on students' needs because of even diagnostic test first, and that's why it makes it highly student focused. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, perfect. Then provides most comprehensive language clarification. So where the language clarification will be the most comprehensive. Helena.
I tend to believe that it's about PPP because we have like a separate stage, language clarification, and the teacher should like check the meaning and explain like in details the meaning, the form, and pay attention to the pronunciation. So it's this type.
Yeah, right you are. Right you are. Thanks a lot. Then, because so well done. Yeah, so nothing to be added even. Then the most authentic one is text-based because it deals, yeah, so with so some like authentic text. That's why it's the most authentic. We've already like talked about this, so that's why I will skip it. And the last one, which is the least time consuming. The least time consuming. Or like which of them saves time? Inna?
I think it's PPP.
Yeah, right you are. That's why. So that's one of the reasons why teachers at schools in order to save some time. So yeah, and in order to exclude all possible questions that will follow, so prefer to use this PPP approach. Okay, so I see that PPP approach so is like something that you are more or less aware of. By the way, I've forgotten about like this Padlet. So and there were just comments here. Yes, students practice controlled activities, authentic materials. Yeah, we've already discussed that. So yeah, so the material is being overlapped. Okay, right now I'd like to deal with one of these frameworks because I believe that like text-based approach is kind of new, yeah, so new to most of you. That's why let me introduce it now. Just during our next class, we will when we will be dealing with vocabulary. So I will also introduce a test approach, yeah, in more detail. And currently we will focus, just because of lack of time, just on one of them, on text-based. And I'd like to start with showing you this picture. So please look at it. Try to guess where it is. So first of all, express your guesses where it can be. It's generated, AI generated, but still. Where can it be? What's the country? Any guesses? No idea. Alina.
Italy or German?
Italy or Germany. So yeah, actually, that's kind of like wrong suggestion, but thank you. So it's much like it's nearer to our border. Alina, one more suggestion.
Yeah, I think it's post-Soviet Union country because of the style of the building in the background, like not very tall building with small windows. I don't know. I can't exactly say which country. Maybe Poland. Sorry, I don't know.
Hungary. It's Hungary. So they do like street art. So and there is a lot of street art. Still, those people who've never been to Budapest, though I do like it immensely. So they maybe are not in the know that so quite a lot of buildings are covered in street art. That's in Hungary. What do you think is happening in the picture? What do you think is happening here? What is happening? Why is that man rummaging, so like, or rooting for something? What is he looking for? Okay, Alina, so the only speaker willing to talk today. Okay, Alina, your suggestions.
I think he tries to look for something, I don't know, expensive or some precious stuff. I can't say that it's kind of flea market because it seems to me that it's just a kind of garbage, but still, maybe he tries to find something that can be valuable. And I know that, as far as I know, that in such kind of places, one can find a lot of cool things, by the way. And I think it's something special. Maybe that was the apartment of like a rich man or woman. So
Okay, and why can it be a special day? Like there is nothing special about the picture, but still, why can it be a special day? Do not be afraid of just voicing your opinion. All the points of view are valued. Remember about this.
Because we know that usually after some holidays, people leave a lot of garbage on the streets. So that's why.
A nice suggestion, by the way. So a nice suggestion. So do you remember, like, in what country has a tradition of throwing the old things through the windows? Have you ever heard about it? That people...
Italy.
Italy, quite right. Still, it's Hungary, so it has nothing to do with Italy, but at least. So they have a similar or kind of like common tradition. So that is kept on Lomtalanitas Day. Lomtalanitas Day. What's this? It's a day as well as the tradition to kind of get rid of unnecessary things on this day. That's why people who have a lot of stuff to be thrown away just leave it in the streets. Why do you think they just do not place it in some garbage containers? What for do they leave them around their houses? What's the point?
Because some people maybe need such things and they can take them home.
Yeah, definitely. There are those who are homeless, those who, for example, are in need of something, and that's why if you feel that you are so like you can afford more expensive things or newer things to yourselves, yeah. So then you can kind of like throw the things away, or usually they're not thrown; they are just placed everywhere around there. So around the place you live, on the pavement, maybe near these garbage bins, so that those who are in need could take them and use them for the other people to take. So thank you, Darina. Yeah. Now I will ask you to read the text. So that will be kind of gist reading. You'll be given 3 minutes only. And while reading, come up with an answer to the question, did Mark do the right thing? Mark, it's one of the main characters. Did he do the right thing? If you are done like within less than 3 minutes, so let me know. Are you done with reading? Okay. I will wait for a bit more. So I believe it's high time for me to ask you this question. Did Mark do the right thing? Okay, what am I talking about? What right thing is mentioned? What was he supposed to do? Who can answer it? Is there anyone willing to answer? Did Mark do the right thing? So he said, I wish I hadn't done that. What is mentioned? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, are you still reading? Because I cannot understand why there is no answer.
Actually, he did a wrong thing, but perhaps he took something which he was not aimed to take, and he felt sorry for that. So he stole something.
Okay, let us clarify. What did he do? What did Mark do? Kat, can you specify? What did he do?
Yeah, it's like he took like Anna's grandfather's war chest, and is it like a thing that it's like a medal or what is
No, so it's in the picture here. I attached it
I
here.
see.
It's on the slide. It's a
Mhm.
war chest, kind of like suit, where we usually keep some like shells, for example, or any armory, guns, whatever. Wartime chest. Packed, but sometimes it's kept for some shells. Sometimes it can be packed like here, like in our story, with some documents or whatever. Usually it's wooden, yeah, so a wooden chest that is kept somewhere in the room. Okay, so once again, I'll repeat that question. Did Mark do the right thing? So he didn't do the right thing. Okay, Katya?
Yeah, I just would say that it's a controversial question.
Could you please specify
Because,
it?
yeah, on the other hand, he just would like to throw away this word chest, but I don't know, is it right or not? Because he would like to throw the chest of his grandfather, something like that, as I
Was it
understood.
his grandfather? Was it his grandfather? They were decluttering together with his wife Anna. They were decluttering their apartment, yeah? Tossing out everything the previous tenant had abandoned. Who is a tenant?
Mhm.
Do you know the meaning of the word tenant? What kind of person is this? It's the one who rents somebody's flat. Yeah, there was one previous tenant who left a lot of things, and Mark and Anna thought that these were his things, and in case if he left, leaving these things here, then perhaps they were not needed for him. So, of course, Mark and Anna didn't need that chest as well, and that's why they decided to get rid of it. So, hardly did they know that so there would be a man, some elderly man, interested in this chest. And it seems to me that you didn't fully understand who that elderly gentleman or elderly grandfather was. If a person is called grandfather, it doesn't mean that he's just particularly your grandfather or your husband's, your wife's grandfather. It can be just an elderly man. So there was,
I
in fact,
misunderstood.
yeah, you a bit misunderstood the text. There was an old man who just rushed into the house, claiming so that they just got rid of his trunk, of his chest, and he was looking for it. And so like these Mark and Anna, the spouses, yeah, so the couple, they were so scared that they were just tenants. They did not buy that flat. They were renting the flat. That's why they so rushed into the street, and started asking all the neighbors if there was anyone there who saw, yeah, this war chest. And the neighbor told, oh yeah. So I saw one guy who was like taking this wooden chest, war chest with him. So they caught this guy like taking the chest into his car. Somehow they explained that they were in the need of that chest, so they took it from him, brought it back, but as relief washed over the old man, he sighed and said, I wish I had checked the address. as it's not my father's house, sorry. And actually, this word chest did not belong to this like old man's father. And all of them started laughing. Because so he actually wrongly accused these people. So, and it was not the Mark who didn't do the right thing. It was actually the man, yeah, so who didn't check the address and started accusing these young people, this young couple. Okay, Maria, so you'd like to say something, yeah?
I'm not sure Mark did the right thing, or at least he didn't do the wrong thing. Just because if you have a chest in your house, why couldn't you even open and look at it, like what is inside? It's a wrong thing to put it away just like at the spot. Just I don't need it, and I won't even look at it.
Yeah, so if you are renting a flat, then you'd better not touch anything. Yeah, that's why it wasn't quite the right thing to get rid of some chest, even if you consider it to be like not needed. So do not touch anything. Leave it as it is, unless it's your own flat. Okay, then, so in this text, we've come across two sentences. I wish I hadn't done that, and I wish I checked the address. Now let us have a look at the following handout of mine. Let us analyze in detail these two sentences. So the first one, I wish I hadn't done that. So let us answer the following questions. So did Mark throw the word chest? Yes or no?
Yes.
Was it a good idea for him?
No.
Does he regret doing it?
Yes.
Yes.
Or did Mark want to take the chest out to the street? So did he want to take the chest out to the street? So yeah, because he wanted, and that's what he did, but actually he regretted doing it. Then let us analyze the statement that belongs to this elderly man. I wish I'd checked the address. Did the man check the address?
No.
No.
Was it a mistake?
Yes.
Yes.
Was he happy about finding out that it was a mistake?
No.
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 Does the old man wish to change something?
Yes.
Yes.
Can he do it now?
No.
No.
Because he started shouting at these people, so demanding so the chest to be brought to him, though in fact so nothing can be done so about it. Okay, now let us think so about the correct options here. For example, the action happened so in the past, present, or future. What should be underlined?
In the past?
Definitely. And we would or wouldn't like it to be different.
We would like to.
So wish in the sentences above, like the ones we analyzed, I wish I hadn't done that, and I wish I checked the address, is followed by present perfect, past continuous, or past simple.
Past perfect.
Past perfect.
Past perfect, definitely. Now let us recollect what is the form of such a sentence. So we have here subject plus wish or wishes. Then comes subject again. What comes next? What comes next? The forms with
Would.
would. Okay, thank you. So like that's not a mistake, but so that's the topic for our next lesson. Just yeah. So if you are a teacher, for example, in the shoes of the teacher, and your students suggest using would, then so you can claim that it's the topic for your next lesson, since much depends on what subject is here. If it's like the same, like I, then no would will be used. Yeah, and you will use what?
Had.
Had, or if it's negative,
Hadn't.
hadn't. And then there comes a verb, yeah, so the third form of the verb. For example, so had or hadn't done, been, checked, whatever. That's why, so like if your students like suggest such answers as you suggested right now by saying that would should follow, you can provide them with these examples for them to clarify it for themselves. So suggest them choosing the correct option among these three sentences. I wish I had consented to helping her then. I wish I would consented to helping her then, or I wish I consented to helping her then. Which of these sentences will sound correct?
The first one.
The first one, definitely. Why would cannot be chosen here? First of all, because there is a mistake in a verb, yeah, so it should, like would should be followed by infinitive. Besides, so you should tell them that in case if the subject is the same, like I, would is never used. Just in case if the subject is different, would will follow. Okay, let us pronounce these sentences once again. Let me not do that. I will ask some of you to do it. Okay, can it be Ina or Katya or Halina?
Okay, I can try.
Okay.
I wish I hadn't done that.
Okay, so I wish I hadn't. Wish I. Yeah, wish I. So like these words are linked. I wish I. We do not say I wish I hadn't. We do not drop them. So I wish I hadn't done that. The next one, Katya Brezhna.
Yeah. I wish I checked the address.
So I wish I checked. Wish I checked.
I wish
Yeah.
I checked.
Yeah, so it's linked, yeah, and pronounced as if being one word. I wish I'd checked the address. Thanks a lot. So, okay, we'll stop here. And after it, I will suggest, so we will skip the stages, but I will just tell you what was supposed to be the next stage, because we are kind of like behind the time. Behind the schedule, sorry. So controlled practice. So after you provided your students with this explanation, so asked them to use the structures with had or hadn't done something while while commenting on these situations. Ask them to come up with the sentences to illustrate this phenomenon. For example, you may take the first situation and say, oh, I wish I hadn't lay in the sun, hadn't lay in the sun for so long. Yeah. Okay, take the next situation, the next picture with a man cooking something. So, but it was unfortunately overcooked. Could you please suggest a sentence to illustrate it? So, a man says, I wish, Lisa.
I wish I had overcooked my chicken.
I wish I hadn't. I wish I hadn't overcooked my chicken. Then the next one, just a moment. So here, what situation so is illustrated here? Unfortunately, so a daughter brought some bad mark. Okay, Ludmila, suggest a sentence.
Okay, I wish I hadn't watched many cartoons.
I wish I hadn't watched so many cartoons. I wish I had studied better. I wish I hadn't failed the test. So anything can work. Yeah, so thanks a lot. Then the next one. Just have a look at this lady. Where is she? Can you guess the location? She's supposedly where?
Airport.
So in the airport. Okay, so just if you analyze so her emotional condition, what happened to her? Can you use the structure with I wish, yeah, in order to like specify, Alina?
Maybe I wish I had arrived on time or even in time.
Okay. Or it can be also I wish I hadn't missed my flight. Yeah, why not? Okay, so where did we stop? So we were analyzing, okay, Padlet. So from Padlet platform. So what this man thinks, yeah? Can you suggest the sentence?
I wish I hadn't eaten that much.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't eaten that much. So right you are. So and the final stage, so we'll definitely skip that because so we do not have time. But so this freer practice stage may contain the tasks when the teacher will ask so his students to provide him with the comments on what they regret, what kind of like minor regrets, hopefully minor, not major ones, they have concerning such areas as study, personal life, finance, career, or health issues. So they can provide the sentences based on all these areas or just on some of them, and that's how you'll be fully aware as a teacher that your students do know the material that was taught. Okay, now I have the final question to you. Are you now in the know of how this approach, text-based approach, works? Are you now in the know? So let us recollect what stages we've come through today. What stages have we come through today? What are they? So the stage with the picture, what do we call it? That was a lead in. Definitely.
Lead in.
So did I work with vocabulary? Did I work with vocabulary? Who'll tell me? It's optional stage, but still.
You clarified some
Let
words.
us pre-teach vocabulary.
Yeah, so I just clarified the meaning of the word, yeah, so that indicates the name for the holiday, yeah, for the holiday, Hungarian for holiday. So, and I specified, so yeah, so what people do on this day. Then what came next?
In reading the text?
Yeah, so you were reading the text for gist. So yeah, and the gist was checked with only one question. Did Mark do the right or the wrong thing? Then what came next?
Second
Focus on grammar structures with I wish.
Actually, so it was mentioned in your framework that it would be possible to read if needed for the second time. We just skipped that because it was one more optional stage. Instead, we proceeded to what you've mentioned? Focus on
Grammar structures with I wish.
Focus on the on the language itself. Yeah, we analyzed the structures with I wish. I wish I, for example, so had checked. I wish I hadn't done that. Then we had the stage with
control practice.
Practice on Padlet. Yeah, on Padlet when I suggested commenting on the situations, so in the pictures. And the final one, so we skipped it, but I just showed that it was included, so on and reflected on Padlet page. That was freer
practice.
Freer practice when the students are provided with some time for them to give comments on on their personal life. Yeah. Okay, so that's how it works. And I believe that now you are kind of like fully aware of how it works. So we kind of base our knowledge on the text because we start with the text. So pick up so the language structures or language items that we are going to deal with from the text. Thanks to the context provided, we are more or less aware of how it works, and then the teacher provides all the further clarifications. So test, teach, test, so is a bit different. And so we will focus more on it. So during our next class in vocabulary, or that will be based on vocabulary, because so a vocabulary, that is one more language system that we'll deal with. So before we proceed to teaching skills. Okay, hope that so this today's work of ours was useful. And you benefited from this class. So if so, put a plus for me to be in the know. So I suspect that perhaps a lot of information was even new to you, because I believe that wasn't something that you were provided with at your universities. Am I right? So thank you for these pluses. Thank you for so many pluses from some of you. Yeah, so that just shows that my work was not done in vain. So enjoy your day, so the rest of it, because it's like it's almost 8 now. And so wait for the tasks to be attached to our site at the weekend, and see you in a week once again. So hopefully, so you will gain some new insights from our vocabulary class next time. So thanks a lot. So special thanks to all those who were active, participated, commented, provided some comments in the chat. I do appreciate that. Good luck to all of you. Bye for now.
Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.